The most hated school bully was found hanging under the basketball hoop. By all logic, there was no way she could come back to life, but on the day of the funeral, even a high monk performing rituals could not suppress the resentment. The mourning hall should have been calm and quiet, yet the coffin suddenly tipped over, the body opened its eyes, scaring Jean, who came to pay respects, into tears. In fact, Jean was a transfer student who had killed someone before. Back at her old school, she had suffered severe bullying. She chose to face it head-on, beating the school bully until he was completely overwhelmed. To save face, the bully grabbed a brick and spat harsh threats, saying, "Either kill me now or I will get people to ruin you later." Hearing this, Jean lunged at him. In a moment of lost control, she pushed him off the rooftop, his body smashed into pieces everywhere. Considering it was self-defense, plus she was a minor, Jean did not go to prison. Instead, she transferred to Majiatan High School. Unexpectedly, the Susaba here was even more tyrannical than the previous bully. As the volleyball team captain, whenever Susaba was in a bad mood, she vented it by smashing the ball at her teammates. The teammates could only watch from the side, angry but too afraid to speak up, because they heard Susaba had a secret affair with the coach. Only Jean stepped forward to stop her. She even made a bet with Susaba over it. If Jean won, Susaba would never bully the teammates again. After one round of spike competition, Jean crushed Susaba without any chance to fight back. But Susaba went back on her word. While the girls were eating in the cafeteria, a chicken bone suddenly flew over. Susaba looked at them with blatant provocation, saying she stepped in dog poop and needed someone to wipe it clean. Jean was so angry she wanted to hit someone. Orn trembled in fear. Susaba smugly crossed her legs. Hong bent down and obediently wiped her shoes. So humiliated, she looked like a dog. After school, Susaba called Jean to the rooftop. Jean thought another fight was unavoidable, but Susaba reached out her hand, saying, "Let bygones be bygones." She said she did not want to keep fighting anymore, otherwise the coach would cancel her guaranteed recommendation spot. On the surface, the two sides seemed to make peace, turning from enemies into close sisters, but in reality, this was only the first step of Susaba's revenge on Jean. Susaba said that without being a school bully, she could not collect protection money. With no living expenses left, she had to rely on part-time tutoring to make money. She said the first home visit would be very nerve-wracking and hoped Jean could go with her for support. When they arrived, Jean realized it was a red light district. No normal person would live in a place like this. Susaba swore she was absolutely not lying and forcefully dragged Jean into a dark room. When they reached the second-floor bedroom, Jean finally understood. Susaba had sold her to an old pimp. Luckily, Jean had prepared for this in advance. She pulled out a Swiss Army knife and fought back decisively. The reckless fear with nothing to lose, facing Jean wildly swinging the knife. The brothel thugs only earned a few hundred a month. Naturally, they were unwilling to risk their lives. This gave Jean a chance to escape alive. "You dare touch me? I think you are tired of living." Jean grabbed the knife and went to settle the score, furiously cursing Susaba for being too vicious. But she was stunned into silence by one sentence: "Do you have evidence?" In an instant, the roles of attacker and defender were reversed. In the eyes of others, Jean became the unreasonable troublemaker instead. She cried while calling home, saying she wanted to transfer schools, but her mother said school transfers are not casual. You cannot just change whenever you want. By chance, she later found out Gun was Susaba's boyfriend, so Jean decided to seduce Gun as a way to indirectly get revenge on Susaba. While washing her skirt, she deliberately used her seductive legs to lure Gun. Seeing Gun take the bait, Jean went back and took photos of her legs, sending them to Gun for appreciation. Gun immediately replied with a handsome selfie. Sure enough, after learning about the affair, Susaba rushed over in rage and snatched the phone away. This completely set Gun off. "Who is the mistress? Who the hell told me? Have you gone crazy enough? Are we married? Are you my wife? After graduation, we each do our own thing. If I cannot have it, then I will destroy it." Susaba stabbed forward with a knife. The injured Gun screamed out, "What are you doing?" This attempted murder case on campus was extremely serious. Even the coach could not protect Susaba anymore. The principal announced the expulsion on the spot. Even crying still counts against the clock. "Get out right now." That very night, Susaba hanged herself, swinging like a pendulum under the basketball hoop. When she was found, the body was already stiff, her small face pale with a dark tint. Surveillance showed Susaba came to the gym alone, likely with studies and love both destroyed. She secretly chose to end her life. Since the person was dead, all grudges were naturally wiped clean. The volleyball club presented a funeral wreath. Jean and the others also went to the hall to burn incense and pay respects. No one expected that while a high monk was chanting a rebirth mantra here, someone else was performing a dark summoning ritual on the other side. In the blink of an eye, a shrill crying sound drifted through the mourning hall. The next second, wind and rain erupted violently. After the mourning hall incident, the girls were scared out of their wits. They decided to sleep together tonight for safety. Even so, they still did not dare turn off the lights, in the middle of the night. They heard a creaking sound, a chair mysteriously kept sliding back and forth on the floor. Sleepless Orn peeked with the corner of her eye, feeling as if a pair of feet were shaking behind her. When she looked up clearly, Susaba was hanging from the ceiling, vomiting filth all over the bed. After the others were woken up, the room returned to normal. Orn was about to fall asleep again, just as she lay down. Orn was suddenly stuck to the wall, feeling a rope tighten around her neck. If this was really just a nightmare, why were there clear strangling marks on her neck? More and more things made no sense. In the gym, a puddle of filth was left scattered on the floor. The coach told the janitor to clean it up. The janitor cursed non-stop under her breath, saying she would rather quit than touch it even once. The girls asked her why. The janitor explained the filth looked like some kind of summoning residue. Anyone cursed would be repeatedly frightened and tormented within 3 days, and after 3 days would die miserably in different ways. These words were soon proven true again. During volleyball training, you also saw Susaba floating in midair. After her neck snapped, Susaba turned into a headless ghost, slowly walking toward you step by step. The 4 girls gathered in the restroom to discuss what to do. This was only the first day. How could they survive the days ahead? The janitor suddenly appeared out of nowhere and was abruptly possessed, her movement strange and unnatural like an AI. The mirror shattered into pieces, forming circular patterns stacked together. This was what you call a broken mirror made whole again. Dipping her finger in blood, the janitor wrote 2 big words, "Go die." The light suddenly went out and the restroom turned dark like a grave. The janitor crouched in the darkness acting sneaky and eerie. She even picked up a shard of broken glass, using it as a weapon to launch an attack, until Gun broke the door open. Light returned to the world. The janitor snapped back to her senses, clutching her head and collapsed. To break the curse, Gun drove his Mazda, taking the girls to find a local exorcism master. After hearing the whole story, the master was very confused. By logic, you did not do anything bad, so why would a ghost come back for revenge? She was bad when alive and even worse after death, so how do we fix it? As he spoke, the master ordered someone to bring an exorcism dagger. Once the blade was drawn, he slashed straight at his own chin. Everyone was stunned. The master kept stabbing one cut after another. The third stab even went into his thigh. It was obvious the master was being backfired by something dirty. With this level, he still dared to charge money. The master grabbed his neck and shouted, "Quickly bring the foul water. We must find the summoner and the offering. Only by pouring the foul water on them can the curse be broken." What is foul water? Urine, light urine. Do not worry, it is not the master's. He has diabetes. It is a young boy's urine. At this point, the horror movie turned into a mystery story. They first had to figure out who the summoner was. Susaba's father, Samchai, was the most suspicious. Samchai usually liked studying dark magic. He did not even attend Susaba's funeral. He had plenty of time to carry out the ritual. If we only talk about time, Ya and Hong were also not around. My head hurts. I will walk you back. Have we really fallen so far that we have to suspect each other? On the day of the funeral, I was not there either. Where were you? At the hospital. My wound was almost healed. I do not know why it suddenly split open again. Hong was right. Mutual suspicion is harmful to unity and would let Susaba's ghost pick them off one by one. They swore to form a detective team, planning to properly investigate after finishing exams tomorrow. Anyone familiar with horror tropes knows that when nothing should happen, something definitely will. Early the next morning, Jean walked out of the dorm and saw the dorm manager hovering outside Susaba's room. Too scared to go in and clean it, Jean volunteered to open the door. She wanted to take the chance to dig into Susaba's secrets. The room was covered everywhere with lucky 13 symbols. This gave Jean an idea. She entered 1313 to unlock the password. On the iPad she saw that before her death, Susaba had exchanged over 1,000 messages with someone. The identity of this mysterious 1,000-message person would only be revealed later. Meanwhile, the dorm manager was growing impatient. Just as Jean was about to leave, a dark shadow crawled up the curtain. Judging by the figure, it was clearly Susaba. Behind her, there were only swaying tree shadows. Could she have been scaring herself? When she turned back, the mattress had sunk with footprints appearing one by one. An invisible sense of pressure slowly closed in. If not for the dorm manager holding a package in her hands, that slash would most likely have caused a death. At the same time, in the exam hall, someone merely dropped a pen and that alone summoned Ghost Susaba, scaring the students out of their wits. I still do not have my exam paper. Such a studious ghost, this was truly my first time seeing one. Afterwards, the principal called all the examinees to the gym. Hoping they would not be frightened by hallucinations, Jean directly confronted the coach. "Stop pretending, was it you who summoned Susaba?" The coach froze for a moment then denied it outright. Jean refused to let it go, exposing the scandal of the coach secretly giving Susaba extra training. Those words were like a spell, turning the coach's eyes blood red. "Fine, then I will come clean." Susaba wanted a guaranteed admission to university. I helped her fulfill that wish. Even if I summoned Susaba, it was not because of love, I was just after her body. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "Shut up. Principal, you want Susaba too, right?" As he kept talking, the coach unbuckled his belt and stripped down. The students all pulled out their phones to take photos. In a moment, the group chats would explode. A few seconds later, the coach returned to normal, but it was already too late to pull his pants back up. "Get out now." The chaos in the gym finally settled. The coach was cleared of suspicion. The 5-member detective team went to Susaba's house, continuing to investigate the next suspect, Samchai. After breaking in through a window, they discovered the house was filled with altars and all kinds of offerings. These were clearly tools used for summoning. Then what are we waiting for? Destroy everything right now. Everyone went into full smash mode. An enraged Samchai grabbed a knife, wishing he could butcher these little brats. The 5 of them worked together to force Samchai onto the rooftop. At that moment, Hong found the crucial voodoo doll. Following the master's instructions, they poured the foul water and stomped it into pieces. The effect was immediate. Although Samchai died a miserable death, at least it seemed to prove they were safe. Jean still was not reassured, so she deliberately brought the voodoo doll to the hospital to confirm with the master lying in the ICU. The master mumbled something incomprehensible. Jean guessed it probably meant everything was over. She and Gun went to the temple overnight and performed the final blessing ritual, hoping Susaba could reincarnate peacefully and stop hurting people in her next life. Speaking of it, Susaba was also dragged down by her family. Samchai gambled, abused his wife and forced her to leave. Susaba had to collect protection money at school, just to help pay off her father's debts. After Gun finished saying this, he suddenly jumped up in excitement. Midnight had passed, yet the 3-day curse did not arrive. Had they really succeeded? Of course not. Gun went to the parking lot to get the car. Jean noticed items being sold by a vendor, shockingly identical to those in Samchai's house. Jean asked the vendor what they were. The vendor replied they were talismans used to ward off evil spirits, especially that voodoo doll which had the strongest protective effect. In other words, they had all been wrong. Samchai was not summoning spirits, he was afraid Susaba would come for his life. The protective altar was set up to block Susaba. Even worse, Gun's watch was running fast. There were still 2 minutes left before midnight. When the midnight bell rang, the killing began. Susaba stepped on the master's chest, thanking his incompetence for making revenge even smoother. "Even though you are a terrible exorcist, your lying skills are first class." Next, it will be Gun's turn. The radio flickered rapidly and stopped on channel 1313. The reading light slowly faded out. Susaba's figure appeared in the back seat. Gun tried to open the door but was tightly held by Susaba with both arms. They say Mazdas struggle in traffic, but now it sped up straight toward a cement wall at the construction site. Luckily Gun fumbled around for a long time and fastened his seatbelt before the crash. Strangely, there was no hidden door handle. Jean still could not open the car door. As fuel leaked and an explosion was about to happen, she grabbed a steel bar from the ground and smashed the window hard. The non-laminated glass shattered instantly. Jean dragged Gun out with all her strength. The next second, a Final Destination scene played out again. The Mazda shifted into reverse and drove backward. Susaba pulled on Gun. Half of his body was stuck outside. Unable to move, Jean could not outrun a car. She could only watch as Gun was turned into Louis XVI. There was no time to grieve for her lover. Jean returned to the hospital, confirming the master's breastbone was shattered and he was truly dead. She secretly took the exorcism dagger and sent a warning to the other girls. The third person about to die was Ya, who was about to go to sleep. Hearing someone calling her name, Ya curiously looked out the window. A familiar face flashed between light and shadow. A pen fell into the power socket, striking Ya with deadly accuracy. Not wanting to die, Ya crawled on the floor, crawling toward the door while crying for her mom. Hearing the sound, her mother rushed anxiously to the door. Susaba viciously grabbed Ya by the hair. "Only when you are hungry do you call for mom. What use is calling now?" As the door was pushed open, the pen was driven into her brain. Ya was beyond saving. There were only 3 survivors left. The real culprit was easy to guess now. Orn received a message. Jean told them to gather at Susaba's house, but Hong called Orn back to the gym, saying she knew how to break the curse. Jean broke into the room alone and discovered a shocking secret. The one who summoned Susaba was actually Hong. whoever awakened Sasaba's spirit was clearly no ordinary person. Jean said, I found the voodoo doll. Hong tricked Orn, saying she only needed to cut her hand. Let blood drip and repent and the curse would naturally be lifted. They say if you have done nothing wrong, you are not afraid of ghosts knocking. But Orn suddenly felt guilty inside and spilled all the truth she had hidden in her heart. 3 days ago, Susaba took out the leg photos and questioned whether Jean was seducing Gun. Her boyfriend was taken away and her guaranteed recommendation spot was gone too. Susaba believed Jean was the one who ruined her life. You bullied your classmates yourself, then got dumped by your boyfriend, hurt someone with a knife and got expelled. Which one of these was not brought on by yourself? How could you dump all the blame on me? Jean spoke with reason in every word, leaving Susaba completely shattered on the spot. She grabbed a utility knife and stabbed whoever she saw. The 4 of them worked together to restrain Susaba. The moment they loosened their grip, she lost her balance. A steel pipe struck and snapped her fragile throat cartilage, causing Susaba to suffocate. She stopped breathing and died shortly after. Reasonably speaking, this could only be counted as accidental death. The young ones did not understand the law and all thought they had killed Susaba. In the chaos, Jean came up with an idea. She put on Sasaba's exclusive number 13 volleyball uniform. She deliberately walked past the surveillance camera, creating the illusion that Susaba had taken her own life. Then they used a rope to hang Susaba up. After setting the scene, they hurriedly left. After all, the gym was a public place. Leaving footprints and such was perfectly normal. There was no fear of a police investigation. After Orn finished confessing, she asked Hong why she learned summoning. Weren't you supposed to be on our side? Hong gave no answer. She only took off her clothes while tears streamed down her face, revealing her alluring collarbones. She had sacrificed her own body, letting a witch who specialized in dark magic revive Susaba. As she spoke, Hong casually pointed. Susaba appeared right behind Orn. The poor Orn was strangled tightly, dying in the same way under the basketball hoop. So what exactly was Hong's motive for reviving Susaba? Jean, who arrived last, heard an unbelievable answer. Why did you summon Sasaba's spirit? So she could keep bullying me every single day. Are you born craving pain? You guessed it right. I love being abused by her. Hong was a born masochist. At the previous school, Jean took down the school bully. Everyone was happy except Hong, who felt unbearable agony worse than quitting drugs. After transferring to Majiadan, Hong met Susaba, who bullied people even harder, feeling secretly thrilled inside. Do people with this kind of extreme masochistic personality really exist? I do not know. Anyway, Hong pulled out the wizard enchanted centipede sword. Jean raised the exorcism dagger. The two launched into their final showdown. A longer weapon has the advantage. The centipede sword stabbed into the abdomen. Jean was instead grabbed by Susaba. She could no longer move even a step closer. At the critical moment, Jean copied area, switched hands and pulled off a reversal. One slash to the throat. Hong clutched her neck and fell. One slash shattered the illusion and Susaba instantly turned to dust. It looked like Jean had won, but that was not the case. The throat slash was only a superficial physical injury. The master's exorcism dagger was just cheap street junk. It had absolutely no effect. The centipede sword was the real deal, as the writhing creature burrowed into her belly button, disappearing inside Jin's body. Sunlight returned to the world. Another bright and beautiful day began. Susaba, who borrowed a body to return, possessed Jean from within. Smiling gently at Hong, I stepped in dog poop on my shoe. Hurry and help me wipe it clean. Hong happily squatted down, holding the jade-like foot as if it were a priceless treasure. This Thai film attack of the ghost number 13 completely overturns the classic good defeating evil ending. You could even say everyone is a villain. Not a single person is innocent. I wonder how everyone here feels about this film. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. If you liked it, please give a like and support the channel. We will see you again in the next video.